Hello, this is TechMan88, and I wanted to give a progress update on my terracotta quarry that I've been developing over like an entire month. So I built it up in survival, and it wasn't too bad to build, I guess, once I got the hang of it. Some of the parts can be pretty tedious to build, but I just took breaks while I was building it and switched it up what I was working on. And before I get started on any of this, I just have to mention that this uses the 1.7.2 terrain generation, which doesn't have any of the stone coming up into these mesa biomes. And I think this is more accurate to real life because real mesas, they're sedimentary. The rock, it like goes into an ocean and then the ocean dries up and that's how the sediment all gets there. Something like that. So it really isn't realistic to have stone going up there because that's like a different geological process. So this is 10 wide, this is 10 TNT dupers wide, and then 5 high. So that's 50 of these I had to build. And this is, I've shown this before, the engine in the back. So this part right here goes back and forth. And actually I'll just turn it on right now. So this is my seat that I can sit in while I do this. And when you're running it, you probably should stand up here just in case you need to stop the machine, like if you run into some water. And there's also a chance that sand will fall down on this area. So I'll go down there. And you can see it's actually pretty laggy with all the items it's creating. But one thing I changed, I can't remember what I have already shown in video, but I don't think I showed this wider water stream. So this is 10 wide, and that's just going to allow it to catch basically all the items. There's very little item loss from stuff like not falling into the water stream. And then back here, I got to make sure I keep this in range. The machine will break if I go too far away. Back here, this is the item collection area, and it's just a bunch of those shulker loaders down here. I have 10 of them. I think I could have gotten away with a couple less. I'll go up there, see what's in them right now. So yeah, it's filling up quite a number of these hoppers. I guess it's only filling up 4, but it's that's not quite the. This isn't going through like a lot of land right now. And this is the result from it. This many shulker boxes, which is actually a little bit disappointing. And I think I'm going to just park this machine here and wait till 1.14 to run it the rest of the way, just so that I can get like 4 times the drops. And I think it looks pretty cool, the landform that it takes out. But most quarries are going to do something like this. And before I show anything else, I'm just going to turn this off, which can be a challenge to land. Alright, well I finally landed where I should be, and I'm just going to turn it off with that redstone block. Yeah, it'll take a second for the lag to settle down a little bit. Okay, so the first way I tried doing this water stream stuff was with pumpkins. So I just laid down the pumpkin so I could put the ice on top of something, and then just ran along and broke it. And this wasn't too bad, I guess, using Tweakaroo. Like Tweakaroo has this thing where you can place blocks in a line really easily. Let me just try and show that a little bit. So there's this fast block placement, so I can just kind of hop along here and easily place blocks. But I think in retrospect it would be better to just use the armor stand trick with frosted ice. But then I got pretty tired of doing that, placing down the pumpkins. So I just I built these infinite water source machines down here. I've already run them all the way, but I'll just show them to you. These are basically Ilmango's design, or maybe just the standard design for this sort of thing. So this is what the machine looks like in action. And I'm just playing back a recording from before and voicing over it for this part, in case it looks funny. But yeah, I found that this this was not too bad, and I wish I had just built these machines at first instead of laying down a bunch of pumpkins by hand. And then this slime just removes some of the extra water source or water blocks that I didn't want. So that helped quite a bit. And also down here, this is Comet 107 Sonobor. And I've shown this before, how I built this and stuff. But just to show you again, yeah, it's down here. It still works. I'm probably going to run into water when I activate it this time. Yeah, but at this point, I've pretty much run out of the mesa, so there's no point in even running it anymore, unless I just want to do it for fun. Yeah, no mesa down here. And I think this this land formation that I did, let's see, this is at negative 1200, and it goes all the way to negative 400. So it's about 800 long, which is pretty good. At this point in the video, I recorded a lot of this stuff before, and I'm going to just try and splice it in so it's kind of interesting. This will be a new style of editing, I guess, for myself. And I'll just go through the build process, I guess. So if things seem a little bit disjointed, that's the reason why. So I've been building it using Litematics, which has been pretty helpful, but this machine, even so, with Litematics, it's fairly complicated to build. The first thing I did was I built the water streams down here, and while most of it is not too bad, just placing all this glass, but then back here there's all this redstone, and this can be a real pain to put together, like these upside down observers here. I tried to avoid these as much as I could when I designed this this water stream, but it's kind of unavoidable if you want it like this. This is like a fast version. There is a much slower version, which would be very simple to build, relatively. And I might try and show that later. And maybe work on a complete design that will that'll be simple like that, where like a flying machine could fly all the way down and then all the way back, and it would push the blocks forward. But I wanted a fast design where it just moves all pretty quickly. And so then the other part I'm working on up here, this is almost done. So yeah, you can see what I've got so far, and I can turn on Litematica to all. So I just need to build like 3 more layers of TNT dupers. So I can show you a bit how I was building this part. I've already finished all these bits over here, so I can't really show you that right now. But it would be basically, I would come along and I would use pumpkins for this part because they can be destroyed. Then just the first thing I would do is run along and do this. Oops. Don't have to get this one right, but I like to. Alright, so the next part is up here, and I'll just start it now. So when you're building this part, one thing you have to remember to do is stick a fence post on top of this slime block, or else you can get into something where that turns into like the piston will just bounce up and down. Sorry about my flying. As I said, this is much harder on when you're recording to do this. So then what I could do is just complete the layer here, and I think the way I usually built this was like this, just build those 4, and oh yeah, I forgot something. I guess I can just use birch fence here. So yeah, just build a single layer plus this fence right here. And this is all quite easy to do. And again, I'm just putting pumpkins in here just to make things a little bit easier so that I don't have to remove the block afterwards. And like I was really intimidated by this at first, but I think it's really good if you're intimidated by one of these machines to just try and build a whole bunch of them. And then I think with a lot of these you just eventually figure out the right way to do it. And after that it's kind of a grind. I mean, I think this has taken me I've probably spent 5 hours already building this machine, but I'm a slow builder and I'm new to Litematica, so I don't even think that's that bad. And also on that note, I kind of discovered this is actually kind of fun. It's kind of relaxing after a while, that you can feel like you're doing something productive and just kind of tune out a little bit but still be concentrating on something. Alright, so now I'm moving on to the next layer, and I built these pumpkins into it for a reason, because I need to place rails on top of it next with a minecart. And also I'll show you one suggestion I have for using Litematica. So you press M plus C to get into this, and let's see, generic. What I did is change these pick blockable spots so that slot 3 would be the first choice to do the pick block, because yeah, I wanted to have slot 4 be some other block, in this case dead coral, some block that's not part of the schematic, because I only have live coral. I didn't want to have to refarm it to kill it, so that way I can just press 4 to get that in there. And in a second, yeah, it just changed to the dead coral. Okay, so now I'm done with that. Then what you want to do when you're switching to a new layer is just find out all the blocks you're going to need for it. Yeah, like a piston, then there's an activator rail down here. You can press Control and Alt to see that. So yeah, that's going to be in the wrong state. You can press Control and Alt and just see powered is the wrong state. Then I should be able to build all of this, I think, without even going back to storage. So as part of this project, I actually built a little one of those furnace EXP farms. So I got like a damaged elytra, and I always like doing this. I'm not being very careful with the EXP, but yeah, there I was lucky and got some repairs there. Yeah, so now that's fully repaired. I really like this thing. I designed this just to make it easy to get the EXP and automatically reset, but I do have to bring over the cactus myself. Alright, so I like to make copies and actually test these machines that are very complicated before I actually commit to continuing with the machine, just to make sure everything is correct. So I can show you the operation of this now. One thing I had to figure out is where to actually have the player sit, and I just chose to do it on a minecart down here, and he can control the machine from down there. And let me just check that I'm actually running the copy instead of the main thing. Okay, I'm just checking the date modified in the saves folder. So to start this, ooh, I should have had a redstone block when I came up here, but that should be okay. So I'm just going to leave. I'll go grab a redstone block, and hopefully that won't be broken by the time I get back. Yeah, I gotta have a redstone block so I can stop it later. So part of the reason I made this machine so complicated, as I said before, is I wanted it to be faster. Like, I wanted to be able to actually sit here and watch it work and not have to wait for flying machines to go all the way back and forth, because that could get very slow with such a wide quarry like this. This is 10 segments wide, and it's about to start doing exciting things now, so let's see if this works. Well, some TNT is coming out. That all looked good, actually. And sorry about the frame rate. I'm running in Rift without Optifine. So now I can just make sure it's actually clearing the right blocks and stuff. But with the schematic, it's pretty hard to actually screw up the positioning of everything. Oh, and zoom is so nice. Well, it looks like part of the machine actually got stuck, so I can check that out. So the results down here, they're looking pretty good. Tons of TNT is landing down here, and these item entities down here, they're actually far enough away that they won't get destroyed by those explosions up above. And actually, it looks like the whole machine stopped at this point. I will have to figure that out before I continue. Well, it looks like I found the culprit. It was just a missing piston right here. So it looks like another problem I have. You see those pink blocks over there? I forgot that this flying machine actually moves back and forth, and it's going to move forward, and that's going to be able to attach to these pink blocks right there. So that's something I forgot. And before I even want to try and remove them, I need to make sure it's not going to break anything, because that's attached to the observer. Try and make this ender pearl. Got it. Okay, so yeah, that's not going to be a problem. I specifically designed this so that this piston could push forward without breaking anything. Just going to push into empty space. Alright, so this is test number 2. Hope this goes well. I did that on purpose. Well, I think it's working properly. I really like the way this looks. This huge wall of TNT floating down. So it's going to pulse all of the even ones the first time, and then all the odd ones the second time. So it should be a 5x3 thing of TNT for each of those even and odds. And as you can see, this is just pushing straight through these pumpkin blocks, so that's very nice. I think leaf blocks would be superior because they don't have quite as many drops. Like this produces some entities when it drops, when they get broken. But leaf blocks, they only have like a 15% chance. Come down here, look at the results, the drops. And I actually thought if you want to be really lazy on this, like the easiest machine you could build, I think it would just be to come down here and run back and forth and collect. Although that would be slower than actually mining it by hand, I think. So this is the machine that I'm building in survival, the exact same machine. I put this into Litematics and just use that. And one change I made from the last time I showed this is I reversed this two-way flying machine, the three-way flying machine actually, that activates it. So yeah, I just have the majority of the machine on the inside so that this whole machine can fit through this gap, just in case the land comes up above. I didn't want pieces hanging out over here. And another thing I did is I changed some of the water stream stuff. And I'll have to show you that when it gets to that part of the progress. Alright, so now the water streams are getting to the point where they're all set up. One thing you have to do to make them actually come out correctly is you have to coax the water stream over here so that you get a line all the way out here, and for some reason that makes it all correct. So this is almost done to the point where it's normalized. Okay, so part of the thing with this water streams is you notice that this water source is actually pushing inwards, and also there aren't half slabs right here. They're just all full blocks. So there were some problems that I noticed is that items would get stuck down, like in this area. There might even be some now while it was setting up. Actually, I'll just kill all the items just to make sure. So there were two different problems. One was that this block right here would get pushed forward before this block right here, and that would cause items to get trapped, just like in that split second while the water stream was set up like this. So I had to redo a bunch of this just to even make that work. Then another thing is, so if an item lands down here, it's going to get pushed over to this side, and it's going to run over to over here. And so I had to just put blue ice in here. That seems to be just about enough to let the item just slide all the way across. Because of course there's no water underneath the half slab. It relies on momentum. And like an item over here, it doesn't. If it's right against this wall, it doesn't have very much time to get any momentum. But so far, I don't think I've seen any items get stuck in this area. Oh wait, there is one here. That's unfortunate. So it may not be perfect, but it does seem to work pretty well. Another change I made on this is I tried to introduce some delay between the vertical sections of this. Like, I don't actually need this part of the machine for the slime all to move forward. I could just take this slime directly straight up. But this adds, I think, 15 game ticks of delay. And what that does is it allows the item's time to drop down after the TNT explodes down here. So like explosion down here, then up here, then up here. I'll show you in this one. So like down here would be the first one, then up here. And that 15 game tick delay seems to be just about enough to reduce the loss to maybe 5% or maybe 10%, I'm not sure. So just on the rates of this quarry, I've set up this command block right here and set it to always active on repeat, and that's just going to teleport all the items to myself, and that's going to just show the rates. So I think the rates on this farm are just excellent, and this isn't even in 1.14. The rates will be 4 times as much in that version. So like the Cycroft terracotta quarry, that's obviously using that's not quite the same. It's a much different ball game for them. But they claim that it's faster than mining, and I think this is actually much faster than mining, maybe twice as fast as mining, when it's going through a solid terracotta wall like this. And yeah, I did put some work into optimizing the item loss, because that just turned out to be just a major factor of loss that I didn't quite notice before. So I'm just running a test now to figure out the rates of this machine, and the way I'm doing it is I'm just letting my inventory fill up with the items. I've got a command block over here that just teleports them all to me when they get to the collection area. Okay, so I think I'm gonna stop it now. Well, I think I hit stop record instead of stop time, but what I got is about 24 items per second is how fast this is mining. And in 1.14 that should actually be like 100 items per second, so this is way faster than you can mine with a pick. And of course, if you're mining with a pick, you have to repair the pick, deal with shulker boxes, think about it, all that sort of stuff. But with this, it would just be like sitting over here in this cart. And yeah, the reason the cart is down here is so you can actually observe if there's any water coming out. Then you can quickly place a redstone block up here and stop the machine, fix the problem. But ideally you would go through and remove all the liquids beforehand, which isn't too hard in the 1.7.2 terrain generation. And also, speaking of in that terrain generation, how it doesn't have all these this stone coming up into it, I think it's actually more accurate to have it that way, because if you think of how the mesas actually form in real life, those are sedimentary rocks. I mean, so it's like layers of sediment that build up, and then the reason there's all this variation in height, that's because of erosion. And yeah, so this isn't like the normal sort of activity where you get the stone thrusting up. And yeah, so I think that has actually made it less realistic in more recent versions. So I wanted to see if this actually works in 1.13 or 1.14. So I just loaded up the most recent pre-release, pre-release 1. Looks like the TNT duping still works, but I'm mostly interested in the type of rates that I get from this. And I guess I should turn down the sound a lot and also see if there's options. Yeah, particles are minimal, but it's still going to be super laggy with the explosions. It's all client-side lag. Yeah, it's pretty terrible. But once I get sufficiently away from the TNT, it stops doing the explosions and the lag goes way down. So yeah, I'm mostly interested in the rates that are coming into this now. Alright, so I've let this run for a bit, and it's totally taking up, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, it's actually taking up this entire hopper array, the entire shell loader array down here. So, yeah, in 1.14, this probably needs a little bit of redesign maybe to make it slower, I guess, or just have more hoppers. And this pre-release, I don't really know how good it is. When I first loaded this up, like, the game just wouldn't respond. I couldn't jump or anything. Couldn't use the elytra. But who knows? But at least TNT duping is still in it, and I assume they kept the 100% drop rate. Yeah, the elytra flying seems really bad. Like, I don't know, it's laggy. They changed something really weird. Hard for me to even get off the ground. I think they tried to fix it, but it didn't seem like really a fix. And I don't think I'm even going to be able to land in that cart. So in summary, I don't know if this is really a useful project in 1.13 because the drop rates are so much lower. But in 1.14, I think this actually will save you a lot of time if you want massive amounts of terracotta. So I'm just going to stop the machine right here and just go through the build process once more. So the first thing you need to do, or the first thing that I did, I gotta wait for this to finish up. Okay. So the first thing that I did is I built this 3D TNT quarry by Comet 107. And what this did is just cleared me out an area down here where I could build the rest of the machines. So the first thing I did is I built a tunnel bore down here, and I'll go back to that real quick. Okay, so down here, this is the tunnel bore. I ran this all the way to the end. That was the first thing I did. Just cleared out the water as I went. And also, as I was doing that, I just went on top and tried to clear out some of the little lakes up here, like down here. That was a lake. And most of the lakes in this terrain generation, 1.7.2, they seem to generate mostly on the surface, or mostly close to the surface so you can see them from the air. So after those two things were done, then I just started building this part down here, the water stream collection. And then at the same time I did that, I also built the rest of the TNT quarry. And yeah, then after that I built the water stream makers, which I showed at the beginning of the video. I'll go back there again. So yeah, the water source block makers, those are up here, and I showed them earlier in the video. And I found it's very, very important to make a lot of backups when I was doing this. It may be kind of considered cheating, but in a machine as big as this, I think it's just really standard practice. Nobody really considers that cheating. So I think the really nice thing about this quarry is that it's rather simple compared to some of the quarries where something like goes down and comes back up. Like many standard quarries are like that. I think this is a lot easier to understand because it's just basically one giant flying machine that just moves forward one time. Then there's just one other flying machine that moves back and forth as the timing mechanism. So yeah, I think a lot of the quarries are so complicated that only really the person that actually made them will ever build it. But I think this, maybe with some more tweaks and stuff, this quarry I think will be in access to a lot more people just because it's that much simpler. And I wouldn't rush to go out and build this right now because I think Comet 107 is coming up with a better design that's a lot simpler than this. I think he wants to take out a lot of this stuff in the back and replace it with flying machines. But yeah, just the amount of effort that goes into the building this, I think it's worth it to just wait for that. I will also have a world download from the most recent creative world that I have where I'm developing this. And I have these water stream makers in here, just part of my testing. So the way you start them is, yeah, I gotta remove those obsidian blocks.
And then this will just come by, create the water stream. So you'd want to run this before you run anything else. So yeah, that's how you would get it started. Then over here, this is how you start the main machine. You just destroy this redstone block. And I didn't quite clear out everything, I don't think. No, it might be fine. No, actually, over here, would have to remove all these blocks. Just so that this part of the flying machine can get through. So after running it for some time, it gets to this point. This is where it's about to start doing its thing. And this should all be set up correctly. Yeah, you probably want to put water in these parts right here. Just to make it a little bit faster. So if you want to build this, I would just take this into Litematica and create Litematicas for this. I have made them. I guess I can put them in a download. But I would suggest you really understand this machine before you build it, and maybe try and improve it before you build it. And I went over the reasoning for this in the previous video, so I will link that too. Like why I have it going up 7 and then over 1. And then also why I have these bouncers here to push the TNT up. It just, it gets the TNT going down at the right angle so that it doesn't collide with any of the blocks that are left by the previous run. That's very important, and I think this is really the only way that you can make a simple machine like this that successfully does a terracotta quarry like this. That was the initial discovery that made me want to develop this further. And another thing you should do is get the water stream to come out this way. But yeah, I think that's going to be it for this video. It's been a lot of development in this, and I might continue further, but I might not. I'm not sure. I hope some other people can, like, take this idea, make it better, or whatever. Anyway, thank you for watching, and goodbye.